Hello, and welcome to the SAF Audiovisual Cast, where we, SAF, connect and share information from top university officials, faculty, and administration directly with SAF students and parents. Thanks for joining us.
First, I'm your host, William, with SAF and IES in Chicago. We've got two accomplished and special guests here today. Dr. Greg Gundersen, Senior International Student Advisor, and Dr. Xin Chen, Associate Director of Outreach, both from the University of California, Davis, here to speak with us today. Hello, guys.
Hello.
So first, we are going to introduce you to a little bit, and where to start. Both of you guys have great professional resumes, and also from an international studies perspective, both of you are very accomplished. But I think I'm going to go over to Greg first. Greg has studied in Europe and across the US, but then, of course, as I understand, you have been based in California for a while after an original upbringing in the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken. Can you introduce yourself a little bit for us?
Sure. As you said, my name is Greg Gundersen. I grew up in Indiana, which is in the Midwest. If you know where Chicago is, it's fairly close to Chicago. I moved out to Denver, Colorado to do my master's degree in education, and then moved from Colorado to California in Davis and worked here for about 6 years. Then traveled to England to do my doctorate degree in international education. And so I was in Bath, England, and absolutely loved it. And that's kind of where my passion was with doing international work, and that took me there. And I came back to Davis and started working in our study abroad office here in Davis, and am now in the continuing and professional education office, and just love working with international students and doing international programs.
Wonderful. Now, can you maybe just tell us a little bit about your role as well as Senior International Student Advisor?
Yeah, it's mainly twofold. So one is when we have international students, obviously they want to pick the right classes and do the things that are going to make a great experience for them. And that's my role as an advisor. I help students get classes, help them get registered, help them connect with academic opportunities on campus. And then do a lot of programmatic work as far as developing and teaching courses such as this one. I'll be helping as a teaching assistant in this course, and have courses on campus and develop some other programs. We have a different research program that is somewhat similar to this that we've been doing for years that I help coordinate. So it's a little bit of advising, a little bit of coordination.
Thanks for that, Greg. Now, as I said, we've got two guests today, and Dr. Xin Chen, you've got a pretty special background as well. And also, I feel like we might have some personal connections between this. So you've begun your studies at some, I think it's safe to call them top Chinese universities, including Fudan University and a place where I studied abroad, East China Normal University. And then, stop me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, you also did a PhD at the University of Virginia, which is quite a great school as well. But as with many professionals we've met, you've landed in California, and it seems like you've been there for a little while. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes. First of all, please allow me to say thank you, William, for inviting my colleague Greg and me here today to introduce this great opportunity to our students. And it's my pleasure, of course, here to first introduce myself a little bit. My name is Xin Chen, and thank you for introducing my My master's in China. Yes, I graduated from ECNU, East China Normal University, and I went for grad school at Fudan University. Both of them are in Shanghai. And then I came to the States to follow my academic aspiration, finish my doctoral study at University of Virginia. And after that, I have been working in various education institutions, higher education institutions especially, and I'm very proud to say, actually, I have the opportunity to work at a Study Abroad Foundation as my first job after I graduated from University of Virginia. And this opportunity allowed me to help a lot of international students, especially from China, Japan, and South Korea, to study abroad in the US. And based on my own experience as an international student from China and the students I have helped with, actually, I found my passion in the field of international education very strongly, and this motivates me to become a professional in this field. And I'm very proud to be working at the University of California, Davis, helping our international students, especially Chinese students, to study abroad here. And currently, my role as Associate Director for Outreach, I'm helping different international programs in our division.
So maybe first we can introduce a little bit the region and Davis itself. Greg, can you tell us about, as a Midwestern migrant to California, can you tell us a little bit about the state and the region and maybe the college town itself?
Yeah, I as somebody that had not been to California when I got here, it was interesting to find out more about the area. And one of the things that I love about Davis is it's a small college town that is right in the heart of lots of other things. So the town itself is fairly small. It feels like a very home environment, farmers market that a lot of people go to. People bike everywhere. You'll see bikes everywhere and people walking. It's just nice and safe and feels like home. But we're also only 10 minutes away from the capital city of the 5th largest economy in the world. So, California is a massive, massive economy and driver of economic and tech industries, and we're right next to the capital city of that. And so there's a lot of ways where I can interact with Sacramento in a lot of great ways. Our students interact with it. But what's also great too is you go a little bit past Sacramento and there's mountains and there's skiing and hiking and camping, and you go to the other side of the state about an hour away and there's Napa Valley with all their vineyards and wine, and you go a little bit farther and it's San Francisco and the Silicon Valley with Google and Facebook and Tesla, and so there's just wide-ranging opportunities in this area. And Davis kind of sits in the heart of it, and we're in the middle of an agricultural area. And one of the things I love about our university is it really embraces that community feel. And so a lot of the faculty do research in the area. We've got research facilities out on the Pacific Ocean that our faculty go to, research facilities in Sacramento, research facilities up in the mountains, and they just utilize the area to do their work and to connect their research with issues that California is facing and the world is facing. And so it's just really this kind of dynamic, even though we're in kind of a small, quiet little town, it's very dynamic and a lot of things kind of passing through Davis and going through, and it's just a really nice place to live.
I heard a couple words that I'd like to maybe dig into more. Agricultural and research. I know that the university was founded as an agricultural sciences school, but right now, as I understand it, also is part of the UC system and a big research school. Can you introduce maybe I'm incorrect in that understanding, but can you introduce us to the school a little bit more?
Yeah, so you're right that it was founded as there's University of California, Berkeley wanted a research facility out in the agricultural fields. So they built a small little small little place just to do some research, and that just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew into the large campus that we now are. But still at its core, it's a research university. So even though we've added lots of majors and done lots of different things, we're still a research university at our core.
This is the research and graduate preparation in STEM. And it's an online course, and it's made for students that are overseas that are planning on coming to study in more detail in the US. Can you introduce a little bit more, Dr. Xin?
Please allow me to introduce this program a little bit from different perspective. First, I would like to say, if you take this program, it will really help you with your research and academic advancement. How? First of all, this course that we have built for you will give you a well-rounded academic knowledge and a professional network with world-class researchers at UC Davis. You will be able to establish professional relationship with our professors. This will definitely enable you to build a network foundation for future research and work. In addition, you will be familiar with cross-departmental research and collaboration. So when you take this class, you will be able to see that the faculty members that we have invited for this course actually are from various departments at UC Davis, and that they have different perspectives and backgrounds to bring into this class. After the mobility comes back, we are confident to say that it is definitely helpful assistance for you to come and join the research team or even involve in the study of certain discipline. You will be able to know how the international scholars work cross borders, especially during this pandemic time. So now people cannot meet in person, they cannot work together in the lab. Then how do they do it still? They work collaborative online, and you will be able to observe this special collaboration through this class. And also, even if you don't study in the US later, you will still be very marketable because a lot of research nowadays, research collaborations happens online. So this class will enable you to be able to do a lot of research online later yourself. As William kindly mentioned earlier, this course actually is specially designed for the students who have strong interest to study abroad for their graduate school later on. And this class will give you an opportunity to further your academic preparation.
That was a great explanation of the course. But one thing just to know is we were designing the course. I was working with Dr. Pan to design the course, and the main goal that we want is that as students take this course and they complete it, that they'll already have a step ahead of other students in their grad school planning and applications, that they'll have already located some schools of interest, that they will have already started their letter, personal statement letter for grad school, that they'll have had some practice and some skill building, and thought about maybe the research project that they might want to take on in grad school. So already finishing some of those steps that you'll need to do for grad school applications anyway, but you can do it in a guided way, have those done before having to go into your grad school application process. So hopefully learning a lot along the way, but also doing some of the steps you will need to do down the line.
Dr. Xin, thanks so much for a detailed answer. And Dr. Greg, I actually would love to hear a little bit more from you on what type of student would fit. So you mentioned somebody who's making their way through the application journey for potential studies overseas. Can you tell us more about who would be the best fit for this course?
I think especially a student that is already planning to go to graduate school, I think it would be wonderful for that student as they're already starting to go through the application process or starting to work on that. But I would think even a student that hasn't done that is thinking about whether they want to do graduate school or not. This would actually be a great opportunity for that student to get a firsthand knowledge about what graduate school is actually like. We're going to have several current UC Davis graduate school students, coming in to talk to the class, leading some discussions. And so I think a student that is still even thinking about, do I want to do this? They're going to be able to meet some graduate students and get some firsthand knowledge about what graduate school is like before being able to make that decision. So broadly science, the course is listed as engineering, but students outside of engineering are definitely going to get something out of this. You do not have to be an engineering student, but it would still benefit a student that's wanting to apply to a graduate school in the United States elsewhere, or apply to a graduate school in England or Australia or somewhere else, because it's still going to be a lot of the same skills apply no matter where you're applying to graduate school, such as writing a personal statement. That's something we're going to help you with, and that applies to any graduate school that you might go to.
So if I'm hearing correctly, of course, applicable to students who are considering UC Davis at a later date, or very applicable to students that are looking into STEM as different opportunities for postgraduate studies, but also applicable to students that are just planning on continuing their studies and beneficial for them. Dr. Xin, I feel like you have something to add here. Please tell us more.
Oh, yes. And as I mentioned several times, this is such a unique class that we have designed for our students. I cannot say enough how blessed I think our students are being able to participate in this class. And I can relate to our students when they are trying everything they can when they are in China to gather together the information, the material to enhance their graduate school application profile. They tried everything. And I was back to the days on different forum trying to gather my own information, putting the package sent to grad school. It was very stressful. I wish I could have this opportunity to get to know professors, to form this very solid mentorship. Here, I want to emphasize the mentorship. It's not like you are making friends, casual friends or acquaintance. No, you are forming a mentorship. Then this will lead you very far in different areas. And like Greg mentioned, you don't necessarily need to be the students who wanted to study abroad. You can also be the students who want just to advance your study and research skills back in China. Forming this mentorship will help you do your own research later on as well.
Sure. So I think you guys have given us a great set of benefits for potential students, and we've also talked a little bit about who that applicable student is. I think that's a really interesting area to focus on, that almost it's beneficial for all students who are thinking about continuing their studies, particularly overseas, as an additional piece in their toolkit, an additional piece of value that will help them differentiate themselves potentially by building relationships with professors or faculty. Speaking of faculty, I think it would be really cool now to hear a little bit about some of this star faculty that's involved in this program. I know that a lot of UC Davis professors or grad students and postgraduate students would be involved, but Dr. Pan plays somewhat of a leading role. Maybe we could start with him. Xin, would you like to tell us a little bit about Dr. Pan's biography?
Yes, of course, William. That'll be my pleasure. And I would like to introduce you all a little bit about Dr. Pan, Tingray Pan. Dr. Pan is really a star faculty at UC Davis. He was a graduate from Tsinghua University, which is a top university in China. He got his PhD in the US, and he has been in UC Davis working diligently with his team, his lab members, and his graduate researchers and students to do a lot of great things, not just in research, but also in research application. His field is very specific. It's about flexible electronics, wearable sensors, digital microfluidics, and lab-on-chip devices, and human sensing interfaces. Those are very fancy words. However, he is very down-to-the-earth person. He has his own lab. It's called a Micro Nano Innovations Lab. We call it Mini Lab. And earlier this year, during this pandemic, you know what his lab did? They were working on ventilation device. And this ventilation device is very unique because it is the least expensive one that we as human beings have ever created. And this device and his lab, all this was on the top of the national news back to the pandemic, the peak time of the pandemic when we really ran low of the ventilators in hospitals. This really, really is a breaking news for the whole community. We are so proud of him and his lab. Of course, there are many other our world ranking professors wanting to join the team to provide this course to our students. And I cannot name all of them here, but we will invite some of them into this class as well to share their experiences, their research and their perspective, and also their passion in research with our students.
We are talking about remote cooperation. We're talking about doing things in a different way. A lot of this is because of the pandemic, this crazy time that is 2020. And something we always get asked is, well, what's happening there? What's happening exactly where you are? Maybe I could start with Greg. Can you tell us what things have been like in the town of Davis and in California regarding COVID-19, and maybe a little bit about how things have changed at the university?
I think one thing to think about again is that Davis is a fairly small town, but it's still, once again, it's safe. And part of that is that small place, but it's also that people are following the guidelines about what they're supposed to be doing. And one of the, as Xin had mentioned, the way the campus has changed a little bit is where our research has headed. Once again, as I've said, we're a research institution. And when this pandemic started revving up, the research on this campus changed immediately to how do we solve this problem? Right? We're a top research institution. This is a global problem and we should be solving it. And we immediately adjusted to being that type of university. Currently, we're not doing very many in-person classes, so that is another change. Most of our classes are online, remote learning, with a few in-person courses, so that has changed.
I think one area specifically was quite touching. You mentioned that the university was almost rising to the occasion, that it embraced its role in supporting a response as a truly top university should and would do. And it's great news to hear from the source. I think what we might step into now is one of my favorite parts of our recordings, where we can spend a little bit of time for you guys to share some info with our students, some maybe more personal info. So I had mentioned that we always like to cover some of our food talk. at the end of our recordings. And I think first, maybe we can leave it with Greg. Greg, as I understand, you at this moment have some trips to China that are backed up that you haven't been able to take. But let's say you make it. What food are you looking forward to having?
Yeah, so my favorite Chinese food dish is, I always feel bad saying this to anybody in China because I think that I pronounce it wrong, but General Tso's chicken. And I think I've even heard that that's not even a dish in China. It is just something Americans have made up. But that's always my favorite one. Sweet and sour pork is another. I would love to. But I think that the one that I've really enjoyed from more kind of authentic Chinese restaurants, and I would love to actually have this in China, is dim sum. Because I haven't had it much, but every time I've had it, I've absolutely loved it.
Wonderful. And I think when mobility returns, your business trips will be filled with wonderful reasons to return again. But Dr. Xin, we have so many questions, but not enough time. But maybe we could say just one example of what you miss from Shanghai.
Thank you for your very interesting question. So for what I miss the most about Shanghai, I would like to say food-wise, I would miss most about the crab, the hairy crab that you can get in Shanghai and the nearby area is just die for. It's to die for. So this crab is very unique in Shanghai and the region nearby. It's hard to get it from here. Even in California, you have to wait for people to export it here. So I would say the most thing I miss about the food is hairy crab.
Some dajiaxie, yeah, for sure. So I think we've covered pretty much a great introduction of both the university and also the program specifically today. Dr. Xin, anything else you'd like to add?
And I think we have covered a lot. I might just have one more like personal reflection to add here. And I would encourage our students to take any opportunity to study abroad and even through remote instruction to experience different culture, different instruction style, and also to broaden your perspective. And it will help you to achieve your personal and academic goals in different ways. And it's a good investment to have. Thank you.
And Greg, over to you.
Well, first I'll repeat what Xin just said. There's even think getting any kind of international experience, whether you're able to travel to another country or just even do it online, is important. Not just from, I love travel and I love meeting people from other countries, and I think that's so valuable, but just there's a lot of studies out there about what employers are looking for, and some form of international experience is really what they're wanting to see, whether it's in person or online or whatever it is. They're still looking for that. And also just say from the other side, Xin and I and all of our colleagues, we want all of you, we want international students to come join us, right? That this is a job that we've chosen for a reason. We love being able to work with international students and hear their stories and share whatever little bit of knowledge that we have with them. And so, we hope that you will join us. We truly are missing the students being on campus, but want to be able to work with you as well in some capacity, even if it's just online.
Well, thanks so much for your time today, Greg and Xin.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.